Okay, Mr. Ngarivhume, welcome to the Two City Chat program. I'm Lovejoy. Maybe people would just want to hear a little bit about you, where you're coming from. I understand you were part of the alliance, so maybe you can just give us a brief background about where you're coming from politically.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thank you very much, Lovejoy, for that and for hosting me on this show. I appreciate. So yes, my name is Jacob Ngarivhume. I was formerly a principal in the MDC Alliance. Transform Zimbabwe was one of the 7 political parties making up the MDC Alliance. And after the election, of course, the executive of Transform Zimbabwe passed a resolution to pull Transform Zimbabwe out of the alliance so that we can continue to build the organization. And should there be need at another time, we can always engage at a political level. But of course, currently, the initiatives and the efforts that we are doing are not political in nature. We are reaching out to all Zimbabweans. So the idea is about converging Zimbabweans to common causes and important issues that are affecting them.
Okay, speaking about converging Zimbabweans, lately we've seen a lot of 31 July movement. There's a lot of traffic on social media. There's a lot of talk about it. What exactly is it about? What are you pushing? What do you want achieved from the 31 July demonstration?
Yes. So I'm glad there's been a lot of traffic around the 31st of July movement, which basically is a call by the people of Zimbabwe. They approached us to say, you know, we are suffering. This suffering has been going on, and we need to do something about it. And in that conversation, the people of Zimbabwe pushed us to call for a demonstration on a date that we agreed on, which is the 31st of July. And the call really is a call by the people of Zimbabwe to demonstrate against corruption. Corruption has been a scourge in this country. This country has been destroyed by corruption. Corrupt activities from government leaders, corrupt activities from people in the private sector. This country has suffered from corruption. And the people have been saying, let us speak out against corruption. So we accepted the call. And we said, okay, we can lead the initiative and ensure that Zimbabweans converge around the issue of corruption. And of course, in our engagements, it's also very important for me at this juncture to say there are many issues that Zimbabweans want addressed on the 31st. So, number one, the 31st is not a one-day event. It's going to be a movement that people are birthing in this country. It's going to be a continuous process until the demands of the people are met. And what are our demands? An end to corruption, number one. Then number two, the people of Zimbabwe deserve a soft ending, a soft landing. A soft landing in the manner that, you know, the country is virtually crashing. People of Zimbabwe are demanding for a dialogue that brings together the politicians, a dialogue that brings together business, a dialogue that brings together civil society. And your civil society includes your churches. So people say, let us come together, speak to one another.
As and not just a 31st of July event, not a one-day event, right? And you're talking about a continuous process. In the past, we've seen other movements which have tried to do what you're doing. We have had Tajamuka being led by other people. We've had Pastor Ivan Mawarire leading this flag. But at some point, it fizzled out. How different is this 31st July movement from the other movements that we've seen in the past?
I will not speak on behalf of the other movements that you have referred to because for obvious reasons. But what I want to say is we are also drawing lessons from those great movements you have referred to. We are not blind to the achievements they made, and so we are also learning our lessons from how they were constituted and composed and where they achieved successes and where they did not. So for this movement, for the July 31st movement, which is basically the birthing of a civil rights movement in this country, in Zimbabwe,
So our difference is that we are making sure that the nation is converging around the issues. There has been an exceptional convergence on the matters that we are talking about, on the issues that we are talking about. And already you are telling me of the traffic, which is a great thing. Why? It's because the issues are resonating with the people of Zimbabwe. And now we are saying, let Zimbabweans own this process. Let it not belong to any political party. Let it not belong to any individual. This is not at all about Jacob Ngarivhume. It's not about Transform Zimbabwe. It's about the people of Zimbabwe coming together to say enough is enough. We want to send a clear message to the government that we are not happy and corruption is killing us. And so now we are able to augment different people from different communities, societies, church organizations, trade unions, everybody. They are coming together to converge on this issue. And I think together we can make a big difference, and come the 31st, it will be noticeable.
Corruption, I think that's like the running point of this movement. Ever since President Mnangagwa took office, even from November 2017, he's been talking against corruption. He even set up the ZAC, as Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission. But up until now, we've had little or no cases being solved. Do you think maybe the president himself is willing to solve corruption, but institutions around him are sort of stopping from doing that?
Now, on point in the sense that people have been talking about corruption. Everybody has been talking about corruption, including the president, right? Fine. So if he has been talking about corruption, why has he not addressed it? You know, the people of Zimbabwe had felt at one point that maybe he will, but no, it has become clear that there has been nothing much has been done at all. It has been just talk. Now the people are saying, let's act. Let's not only talk about corruption, let's act. Let's push everybody who can do something, including ZAC. What have they done about corruption in this country? We are holding them to account. We want them to be accountable of the work that they have done since ZAC was set up in this country. We want to hold the president accountable to say, what have you done about corruption? We are noting corruption in this country every day. What have you done about corruption in this country? The people of Zimbabwe are saying enough is enough. That's why we are coming together and converging as a people. This is the convergence of the people of Zimbabwe to talk about one issue that has bedeviled us, that has destroyed our economy. This is, mind you, my brother, look here, it's coming at the backdrop of a blessed nation. Zimbabwe is a blessed nation. Look at all the diamonds we have, all the gold we have, the platinum, everything. It's amazing and unbelievable. It should take us out of the quagmire that we are in. But there has been no will to do that. That's why now citizens are coming together to converge to say, is it the politicians? Now this is what we are talking about. And if you are for the people of Zimbabwe and for the dealing of corruption, then you must support us on this call. If you are against us, then it shows you are not for us, and you are being propelled by the corruption, and the people of Zimbabwe want to hold people to account.
You have sort of become the face of this whole movement. There's been a lot of posters, there's been a lot of engagement on Jacob government social media platforms. Are you in this as Jacob Ngarivhume? Are you leading from the front? Will you take to the streets? If you are going to take to the streets, who are you going to take to the streets with? Are you going with maybe the MDC Alliance, the MDC led by Zanu-PF and other political parties, as well as maybe business, security sector?
This call is for all Zimbabweans. It's not even about Jacob Ngarivhume, it's for all Zimbabweans. And yes, for my commitment and my pledge to the people of Zimbabwe is that we are prepared to take a lead from the front. We are not going to be at the back of the queue. We are going to be right at the front of everything. We are going to walk in the streets with them. We are going to engage with them no matter what happens. If it is death or life, it's going to come on us together holding hands with the people of Zimbabwe. And who are we going to be with? Everybody we are engaging. Citizens in general, number one, citizens of Zimbabwe. Political leaders. We're inviting everybody. For your own information, we are also sending an invitation to Zanu-PF. We understand there are people in Zanu-PF who don't want what is happening, who don't want this corruption. If they are there, it's their time to separate themselves from the rest, to show that we are not for corruption. We want Zimbabwe to be a better country. It is their time. But if they keep quiet, whoever keeps quiet, we know where they are. And now the people of Zimbabwe will be able to identify the people who have run down this country to where it is today. So it's a call for everybody. The MDC, I've had unbelievably good meetings with the business. The business community yesterday was saying, we've suffered from corruption, Mr. Ngarivhume. It is time for us to address this matter and this issue. And as long as it is an issue to deal with corruption, we are 100% behind you. Go all the way, we will be with you. And this is the message you are getting from Zimbabweans.
All right, just a few days ago, Senator Douglas Manzora came out and said that the 31st of July movement is sort of a disruption of their extraordinary congress, which is scheduled to take place in Harare on the same day, right? So he's saying that you, as Transform Zimbabwe, you are being used, since you were one of the principals within the MDC Alliance, you're being used as a pawn to fight the factional wars within the MDC Alliance and the MDCT.
So, firstly, I would like to say it's unfortunate. And let me reiterate that this demonstration is not about political parties. It's about Zimbabwean citizens. This demonstration is about Zimbabweans. Let me be very, very clear about that. It's not about any political party. It's not about factional fights. You know, it will belittle the initiative from amazing Zimbabweans if we begin to talk about factionalism and factional fights. The date of the demonstration was announced on my Twitter handle on the 28th of June. 28th of June, before anybody else had announced any date for anything. It's on record, it can be verified. And the message went out and people started responding thereafter. Different people from our community, business, you know, civil society, church, everybody began responding. And I think it's there for everybody to verify. So this date had no other motivation other than fighting corruption. The people of Zimbabwe have no other motivation at all except fighting corruption. And if anybody feels they are being fought by this demonstration, then surely I don't know what it means and what they are trying to achieve. This demonstration is not about politics. It's not about the MDC Alliance. It's not about Transform Zimbabwe. It's not about MDCT. It's about the people of Zimbabwe. Let that be clear. And everyone, you see, is talking about the same issue. Everyone coming on board are from different political persuasions, and they are all converged on the issue of corruption in this country.
The people of Zimbabwe also include probably Mr. Nelson Chamisa, who is the leader of the MDC Alliance. Did you, or have you talked to him about it, saying that he has endorsed your demonstration?
Yes.
Have you engaged him?
We have engaged everybody. We have engaged President Nelson Chamisa, and he has endorsed the demonstration, and we are very glad that different Zimbabweans, and it's not only Mr. Nelson Chamisa, it's, you know, president of Build Zimbabwe Alliance has endorsed, you know, the president of IPA, Professor, Dr. Ngosana Moyo has endorsed, you know, Mr. Elton Mangoma, I had a meeting with him yesterday, a great meeting for that matter. He has endorsed. So different political players are endorsing the demonstration. And I think the people of Zimbabwe are coming together and converging on the issue. And people are better supporting the initiative because this is coming from the people of Zimbabwe.
Coming to the day proper, what kind of action are you going to be probably taking on the day? Are you going to march on the streets? Are you going to do a stay away? Are you going to maybe call people to converge on online virtual demonstration? What exactly are you going to do? And is this a Harare thing? Is it going to be held in Harare only, the march? Or maybe there are plans to do it nationwide? And how are you going to sustain the demo outside of Harare?
That's a very good question, because now that question also speaks into the strategy for the demonstration of the 31st, which of course the things that don't involve strategy I will share, but in terms of the strategy itself I will not reveal for obvious reasons. So in terms of the demonstration, this is a national demonstration, and secondly, it's not a once-off demonstration. It's a movement birthed which will be sustained by the people of Zimbabwe going forward. So beyond the 31st of July, there will be action and activities by the people of Zimbabwe. And we are reaching out to Zimbabweans right across the country. And we are notifying the police, like I said earlier on, and the notification will also show the nature of the demonstration. People may be marching, I will not disclose exactly right now. People may be marching from across the different city, from the different locations where they come from. People will be marching, may be marching from Mudiriro, Glenview, Chitungwiza, Epworth, Harare South, everywhere. People may be marching from all those areas to converge at a single point. But in terms of the nature, really, that is being still discussed in the consultations. You know, we are consulting with trade unions, and people are giving in their inputs in terms of what nature and how we are going to demonstrate on the day. Because we want the process to be inclusive. We don't want somebody in Waterfalls to be left out. We don't want somebody in Hatfield or, you know, in Borodale to say we can't get into town. We want them to be able to start from their area, to show that this is not a thing that is centralized and organized by people who have got another agenda. No, it's coming from Zimbabweans. So if people march from Borodale, they are showing their support to this initiative to say we are tired, sick and tired of corruption in this country.
For every action that is taken, there has to be sort of a yardstick to say that we have achieved our goals or maybe we have failed. What will you use as a yardstick to say we have managed to at least get what we wanted? We got an ear maybe from the president, we got an ear from the powers that be. How are you going to show us that this was a success?
Sure. So there are outcomes that are expected on the 31st of July. And they will be well spelled out. There will be a petition developed which will be spelled out and distributed to the media and to the people of Zimbabwe. And that petition will address specific outcomes that we're expecting, including action against corrupt officials. Corrupt officials in government must be dismissed. Corruption must be dealt with in government. Where has the 15 billion from diamonds been accounted for? We need people accounting. We are holding government to account for the money that has been stolen. So we want to see practical action. We want to see ZAC with arresting powers. We want to see people being arrested and tried. So far, you know, there's a lot of hype. You know, we are arresting so and so. Then nothing happens beyond that. It becomes a talk show. We want to see real action on the ground. This is what the people of Zimbabwe are demanding. You know, so it will be measurable. And then we are also calling for dialogue to say the people of Zimbabwe are calling for political players, civil society, and business to engage and dialogue and come up with a way forward for the people of Zimbabwe. It's measurable. If you are doing nothing about it, we will see and say, okay, fine, you haven't done anything about this. We continue in the streets. So there are measurable outcomes that are associated with the demonstration, and we are still consulting wide stakeholders so that we are very clear in terms of the outcomes of the demonstration.
About dialogue, you mentioned dialogue. There have been calls, several calls, especially by the state and other political parties that have since joined Pollard, to say, come, let's talk around the round table. But we have seen probably your party and the MDC Alliance as a whole not joining part of the dialogue. Don't you think maybe these are some of the issues that you, as Transform Zimbabwe and other political parties that are not yet on the table, can take to Pollard and maybe discuss?
Right. So if you hear me correctly, I'm saying the dialogue to save this country need not come from political parties only. Not at all. Politicians, yes, because they run government. But we want to engage business. Business must be consulted on the way forward of this country. We want to engage civil society, churches. They have a voice and they must be listened to. So a non-inclusive agenda or a setup won't help this country at all. It will in fact divide it. You know, a dialogue led by Emmerson Mnangagwa as president of Zanu-PF and as president of the, he then calls others and chairs the meetings. And, you know, that's a joke. That's not what we are talking about. We are talking about inclusion. A process that includes everybody so that the people of Zimbabwe feel they're included. Not even chaired. Such initiative need not even be chaired by politicians, because we're saying politicians are part of the problem. We need neutral hands to chair that process, credible hands for that matter. Do they come from the region? If they come from the region, fine. But we don't want parties that are, that are part of the problem, then chair the process. That doesn't make sense. We are talking of an inclusive process of everybody.
Another dialogue is on. I think it was called for by Reverend Tata, where he's calling on opposition and even ruling party politicians to come and discuss national issues. Are you going to be part of that?
Yes, I was invited. Transform Zimbabwe was invited, and specifically, I was invited as head of Transform Zimbabwe, and I'm going to be there. These are initiatives that we are talking about, coming from people who are not polluted with what is happening. This is what we respect. So yes, that one, I'm going to be there. I have been invited and have confirmed my invitation.
Going back to the day again in question, in the past we've seen the police coming to beat demonstrators. We've seen the soldiers coming to beat demonstrators. For the safety of those that will want to be part of this, how are you going to make sure that they are protected from such, can I say, activities?
First and foremost, the biggest way to protect the people of Zimbabwe on the 31st is that the people of Zimbabwe are going to come out in their millions, in their hundreds of thousands, and in their millions. And if 1 million people fill the streets on the 31st, surely no one is going to beat anybody. You see, so that's the first thing. The traction the demonstration is gathering, that on its own is going to be a huge way to protect citizens. But beyond that, secondly, we are also engaging the police. Like I've said, we are notifying them. And we are also reaching out to the military to say this demonstration is not against the military, is not against the police, is for the people of Zimbabwe against corruption, which is affecting your rank and file. Recently, the commander of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, General Valerio Svanda, came out speaking against corruption. It's affecting everybody. So who would want to beat anybody demonstrating against corruption? So our expectation is that we should get support and consensus by all Zimbabweans to converge around this issue because it is important and paramount for everybody.
Let me take you back as we wrap up to August 1, 2018. We saw some people took to the streets, and after a few weeks, they were sort of denied, rejected. There was the perception that they are MDC Alliance supporters who were calling for ZEC to do the right thing, whatever the right thing was at that time. But at the end of the day, we saw certain politicians coming out and saying, no, they are not our supporters. Right. Now that we've got this whole thing ahead of us, in the event that the police comes and beats people and probably there are shootings and these things happen, right? Are you going to take responsibility for those actions? Are you going to stand up and say, I was responsible for these people?
You see, this movement is for the people of Zimbabwe. And who should take responsibility if they shoot people? It's even the police, not even us. But of course, we are not going to abandon the people. I don't know how to put this across more than I'm doing. We are not going to abandon the people. We've accepted the call to lead the organization of the demonstration, and we are fully responsible and aware of what we are doing, and we trust the people of Zimbabwe that, number one, they will be peaceful on the day, and number two, they will come out in their thousands, if not millions. They will come out in their numbers to demonstrate against corruption, and we know the people of Zimbabwe will prevail on the day, and we are not at all going to turn our back on them. In any case, we will be together in the streets on the day.
The millions and thousands that you're talking about, definitely they are against the World Health Organization crowding. We are in the era of COVID-19, right? So how are we going to make sure that the people are safe and not spreading the virus? Because we, at the end of the day, we want a healthy nation. You would want to see corruption being fought by healthy people, not fighting corruption and fighting COVID at the same time. So how are you going to ensure that the people are safe from the virus?
That's a good one. So firstly, we will make sure that everybody coming to the demonstration on the day, they have a face mask. It's very important. It's a requirement. We'll even provide face masks in case somebody pitches up without a face mask. So we'll have a pile of face masks that the marshals will be distributing, and making sure that where we will converge, you can't converge there unless you have a face mask. So that's number one. Then secondly, we will also make sure that during the processions, as people are walking, they are observing social distancing. At least you are 1 meter apart from the next person. And that is very easy to observe. We are already starting the process of training marshals to make sure that it is done that way on the 31st. And then thirdly, of course, on the issues that you're talking about, COVID-19 is a scourge. Corruption is a scourge. Currently, COVID-19 has killed about 8 people in this country. Corruption has got thousands of graves in this country. Far more people are dying from corruption than so far from COVID. So we are very respectful of the COVID restrictions and even the statutory instrument that regulates, the lockdowns and so on. So we are very much respectful of it. But at the same time, the people of Zimbabwe feel justifiably so that we need to do something against corruption, because corruption can better kill us if we do nothing. So that opinion by the people of Zimbabwe needs to be respected. And let me also reiterate again that the demonstration will be peaceful. A peaceful demonstration will ensure that it is well for everybody. Our message is heard and our message is clear. So the demonstration is going to be a peaceful demonstration on the 31st. But our results will measure them and will make sure they are achieved for the people of Zimbabwe.
So any plans beyond the 31st?
Yes, they are. The 31st is just by the beginning. Details of the nature of the movement will be released. We'll talk about it in due course, and very soon. Later this week we'll circulate exactly the details of what nature the movement is taking. And the beauty is that the people of Zimbabwe are contributing towards the movement they want. It's not even myself. You see, wherever we're going, we're listening to the people. They're shaping the movement as they desire. And we are very careful to make sure that it is owned by the people of Zimbabwe, not by individuals, not by political parties, but by the people of Zimbabwe.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ngarivhume, and best wishes on the 31st. Probably the media will be there as usual, and I will be just observing as well, seeing you doing your thing.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. God bless you. Sure.
For these and other stories, visit our website www.263chat.com. Follow us on Twitter @263chat and like our Facebook page 263chat.